Yeah, we are ready to start. Sergey, please let me know. Let me know if you are here and if your camera and your mic works.
I hope you can see me now and hear me now.
Yes, everything with me, everything is okay. I think with everyone else as well, right?
I hope so.
Okay, so let me ask you the first question so we can start right away with the questions, if you don't mind. And my questions will be, could you tell us a little bit about you and about your background in IT industry, please?
Okay, it's nice to have you all here. I'm Sergey from Antenta. And am I a tech guy? Am I an IT guy? Not really. I'm an IT manager, and IT managers are not the real IT guys. We are a little aside, but yes, I came here from technical background. Graduated from the university a long time ago as an engineer, then worked as a programmer, software developer, in different companies, and then ended up at 1C, the main 1C company. And I left 1C from the position of head of localization. So I was in a crossroads of translation, localization, and IT part. And then I started to move closer to this localization part and translation part. So now I am a program director of MT and AI in a company which mostly work with machine translation and everything around it. So yes, that's me, and I live in Lisbon in Portugal since New Year, and I slowly started planning my relocation, I think 2, maybe 3 years ago. And the main solid steps when everything was when we decided to do it, then we have chosen the country. It was, I think, June of the last year, 2021. That's when I opened a site called Gosuslugi and ordered my first papers for relocation. Now I do not hear you.
Yeah, sorry, I muted my mic as well. So it wasn't a spontaneous decision. You prepared your allocation. Yeah, you started to prepare a long time ago.
Yes, absolutely. And to be honest, I wasn't in a hurry. Of course, I wanted to do it in some particular time, but I wasn't in a hurry. So we started researching, and so I didn't move by myself. We moved the whole. We had a plan to move everyone who worked for our company outside of Russia for a long time ago. So we started to choose a country, and the finalists, finally we choose between 3 countries: Czech Republic, Spain, and Portugal. And we stick with Portugal because then there we thought that it's most interesting in terms of taxes, in terms of all other things. And for some reason, when you hire people, they like the word ocean. We have ocean here. Wow, nice.
Yeah.
Small disclaimer: ocean here is really cold, so that's not like Mediterranean Sea. It's really, 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 really cold. So if
So
you do not have
was it better to choose Spain then? Maybe.
Sometimes I think about it. When my kids arrived, my son said, "Okay, Dad, there are." I studied geography, and there are a lot of countries with ocean. Why you chose the one with really cold one? So, uh, another complaint from my son since we moved from Moscow. He said, "Okay, that's Lisbon, the capital." I said, "Yes," and he said, "But it looks closer to a village than to a real city." I said, "Yes, it's pretty small." So for young generation who prefer big cities, it's not the best place maybe. But for me,
And
it's
what
here.
about you? Is it a good place? What can you say? What conclusion can you make after spending here a couple of years?
Not a couple of years. Again, I wasn't in a hurry, so I get all the documents. I have my working visa in December, so I spent New Year's holidays with family and moved here first days of January this year. So it's 8 months since I'm here. I think more. It's already, time flies fast. It's October, so it's already 11 months, 10 months up here. It has its bright side. It has its drawbacks. The biggest drawback for me, it's not actually, again, things changes really fast, really fast. And some of the drawbacks I faced are not really an issue now. Like since this month, you can apply for residence permit in Portugal for the whole family. Before, everybody who arrived here, they had separate processes for them and for their families. So everybody who worked here based on their work, who had contracts with Portuguese companies, they have to spend, well, I spent 7 months with our family here, and that was the biggest drawback. It's not, right now, that's not an issue, so you can apply all together. Another thing is, again, let's have one bright side, one.
Okay. Okay.
The bright side is in Portugal, they have this nice thing to invite people like NHR tax status. So if you just appeared for the first 10 years, you can have flat tax, flat income tax of 20%, which is much more interesting than paying the classical taxes, because they have this progressive scale up
And
to 40.
which is 40, yeah?
That depends. It started from 13 to 48% of the income. And there are a lot of things, like a lot of things to reduce the taxes, but you have to know all of them. So if you do not want to go into any details, for example, if you are here with family and you pay for kids' education and you pay your medical bills and you also have, now buy property here, you have some discounts, and then you may reduce your taxes, but there are a lot of things. If you do not want to face them, just you can apply for the first year for NHS status. And for most cases, NHS status is the best way. Another thing is NHS status also allows you to have passive income from other countries without any taxes. Sometimes there is some misunderstanding here, because the people who want to sell you this, who move people to Portugal and want to say, hey, they have 0 taxes for foreign income. That is not true. There is very strict lists of what you can have, which money you may have from the foreign incomes without taxes here. For example, it's mostly passive. So if you have an apartment and you have it in lease, not in lease. If you rent it and if you have income from your apartments in other countries, in some cases you do not pay taxes if that is not your official income, as if that is not your proficiency.
Main income, yeah?
Not main. That depends on, for example, when I had self-employed status in Russia, I had to pay these taxes here because I was self-employed. So in the country where my property is, I'm self-employed. So now when I do not have this self-employed status, I do not have to pay taxes from those incomes. But I do not have those incomes anymore. Anyway.
But were you familiar with this procedure before you came? Or
No,
what?
no, definitely not. And it's a lot of things to understand here. And more than that, I have tax advisors here, and I have 3 companies who I consult with. And why 3? Because usually they have different meanings on how Portuguese law really works. So that is really interesting about country. It's 50-50 country. That really depends who will see your case. Like when you apply for residency and for other things, there are strict rules, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, and that really depends on which person you're gonna meet and who will work with your documents. For example, when I exchanged my driver license for the local ones, they do not let me keep my motorcycle category because they say, okay, you can officially just exchange license, withdraw your driver license and get this B category for the cars, but you cannot get have the same process for motorcycle licenses, and I don't have it. And part of the people who exchange this driver license do not have it. Another part does have it because the person who exchanged their licenses didn't care about this, and he just opened all the categories for them. And that is how most of the things here work. Really, well, you never know how it's going to be. So that's that's a part of the country too.
So you said that you never know how it's gonna be, but back then, say 2 or 3 years ago, when you just started all the process, you said that you were choosing between Spain, say, and Portugal, right? And why did you choose this country?
We didn't choose it for ourselves personally. We choose where to open the company. So
Yeah,
we
where
worked
to open the
for
company.
yeah, where to open the company because we worked for US company, and this company wasn't okay that managers sit in some areas like in Russia. So the idea was, okay, since we still want to open an office somewhere in Europe, let's choose the best place for office. So I didn't choose this for myself. We were chosen for the whole company, and that's how it worked. So I didn't think about, okay, I like Portugal, then I'm gonna go to Portugal. No, we just evaluated, investigated, hired companies in different countries for them to provide us options. And then we decided that the best one for the company, not for me personally, would be Portugal.
Okay. Okay, so as far as I understood, now you understand that there is no ocean, yeah? What else?
No, it is. It
What
is. It
else
is.
is
It is an
different?
ocean. It's cold.
Yeah, it is an ocean, but it's cold. Yeah, right.
It's cold.
And what else is different from what you've expected?
Well, all the other things were really close, and Portugal is a really nice country, and I really adore people here. They great. They always try to help. One of the bright side, a few years ago, Portugal was one of the lowest economy in Europe. And what they decided to do is that they have this program for foreigners to live in Portugal and pay taxes in Portugal, but work somewhere else. And because of this, in Lisbon, there are more people who speak English than Portuguese, really. So in my area, I do not know if any local people live here. So I live in a, well, it's classical Portuguese house, like 5 floors, and each floor is a separate apartment. So my neighbors are from Australia, France, Canada, and I forgot who else. So Lisbon now full of immigrants. It's more than local here. It's so it's really easy to arrange basic things with English without knowing Portuguese. I still learn it. I still like it. I think I see that European Portuguese is the language not really needed in the world because only 10 million of native speakers. And there is a really big difference between European Portuguese and Brazilian Portuguese. So that's not, they're close, but that's the way they build the sentences already different and the way they think already different. There are some cases when I had lack of knowledge of Portuguese, when I suffer from it. First is when I had issues with my water supply in apartment, and I called for plumber. It's plumber, right? I'm not missing the
Yeah,
word.
plumber.
Plumber, and the plumber didn't speak English. That was the first time I faced that. Okay, that is a country with their language. And sometimes in medical centers also. So all the doctors speak English, but when you want to apply, for me it's easier to walk and apply than to call by phone because, well, I try to do my best speaking Portuguese, but still it's 7 months is not enough.
Yeah, still there are more opportunities to improve your English and to learn English, yeah, because your neighbors all speak English.
Neighbors, I have the Kashan supermarket, and all the cashiers also speak English, even at this level, and all the young generation. I had when I first tried to withdraw money from local ATM. I do not know how to do it in Portuguese, and I didn't know. I didn't know. Now I know. And I asked for help on the family nearby. And the adults didn't speak Portuguese, but all the kids didn't speak English. But all the kids spoke fluent English. So they just translated what I wanted to their parents and then translated back. What should I do? So, yeah.
I see. Yeah, and I agree with you that when you come to a medical center all over the world, if the doctor or or a nurse speaks English, it's a sign that they are really great professionals because it means that they studied abroad. So, for example, in Latin America, in the Latin American countries, it's like this. So it's really great when a doctor speaks English. Okay, and I would like to ask everyone else, yeah, participants of our meeting today, do you have any questions? If you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask them in our chat. You can use our chat or you can use our Telegram chat, whatever you want. And you have mentioned, speaking about the beginning of the relocation process, that you opened the Gosuslugi website and you started to prepare your documents and papers. And what was the process of relocation? What did you do next? How was it going?
Okay, so again, as I said, in Portugal, they have separate options, and they like to invite people who are with pretty high salaries, not exactly to work here, but there are some programs for those who have income outside of Portugal. And to be honest, one step not back, but away from the topic. That is the main option, as I see, for those who want to move to Portugal. Do not try to find work here, but work anywhere else in Europe and America remotely. Find this type of work. And I think in IT, that's pretty, not easy, but pretty classical thing to do. Because again, as I said, local economy is far from being great and far from being one of the top economies. So the most comfortable way is to find work job opportunity somewhere in Europe but relocate not to those countries but to Portugal. And that's what most people here really do. either have their own companies, either work all over the world. Like Canadian guys, they still work in Canada, but they moved here. And Portugal is really nice country in one thing. They do not, well, all the process here are slow, but they understand it. And that is why I think that is why they do not have this departure process. So it's, I think, well, in my environment, more than half of people either live here with overstay of their visa, either had this period of time previously, and nobody here, non-official institution really cares here about it. So there are several options. First one is to start the process from the abroad. Here it's called national visa, the detailed visa, and there are several of them. When you're still outside of the countries and you start the process, there are several of them. First one is for higher educated specialists. You have to have your diploma and you have to work in the area of your diploma. And then you apply for this D3 visa. Another thing is D7 visa, when you just have enough income and you do not have to prove any qualification and so on. You just apply, you say, okay, I have enough income to live in Portugal. I want to apply for the residency. They have this program. The outside, the trickiest part is that you have to apply for this visa in your country of residency. I think most of people here are from Russia, so you have to apply for this visa and stay in Russia. You have to apply it, you have to wait for it in Russia, you have to gather it in Russia. So if you temporarily live somewhere else in Turkey, in Serbia, in Armenia, anyway, you cannot apply for this type of visa from those countries if you do not have permanent residence permit there. Another good thing in Portugal, Portugal allows you to come here by Schengen visa and start the process internally. So you literally do not have to have working permit in Portugal to start work in Portugal. And the funny thing, that is absolutely official. So that is no violation of no local law. Everybody who have official reason to came here, even as a tourist, can register as self-employed here and started the process. It's pretty long process. For some people, it spent up to 2 years for it. But for this 2 years, you just wait for your order. So you started the process. You get your UI in line, and local immigration service says, okay, most likely your process will be considered in 2024 in 2 years. And you came here by using your Schengen visa. And this paper from immigration service allows you to live here while you wait for your process to be finished. So with this paper, you live in Portugal for 2 years. You cannot go to other Schengen countries. Yeah. So, and Portugal is really a small country. Here live less people than in Moscow, for example. And by car, I can drive 2 hours south, 2 hours north, and half an hour east from Portugal, and that's the whole country. But it's nice.
Yeah.
So, if this
So you
works,
can, yeah, so you can say, so you can come with your Schengen visa. You can apply for the process, yeah, if you are, if you want to start a company or run a business,
yes.
and then you can live in, you can live there, no matter when your visa expires. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And even if you're outside of this process and your visa expires, they have only so the fee is not as awful. If you have overstay of a month, I think it's less than 100 euro. And again, they do not depart you. They just You just have your penalty, your fees, you pay it, and that's okay. Then you still can continue with your process. So
yeah, you can go to Russia and you can easily come back. Yeah.
no, you
No.
can't. That is the trickiest part. You cannot, while you're inside the process,
Okay.
you cannot leave the country. So for 2
Aha.
years you have to be inside, not to Russia, not to
Any other countries?
yes, because you cannot. You can stay here. You cannot. Well, you can leave. You cannot get back. So once you leave, officially your process stops.
Okay, so the only thing that you should do is to find a job, yeah, to work
That could
during
be
this
job outside if you work remotely.
remotely, right? Okay, that's great news. Any questions, guys? And what can you say about the IT market there? We already understand your attitude to the country itself and about the life within the country. And what about the IT industry? Are there any differences, any specific features maybe?
Yes, as I said, it's really huge IT community here, and it's really huge Russian-speaking IT community here, and it's really huge Ukrainian speaking IT communities here, and the thing is, all of those people work abroad, most of them. There are several companies, again, that's worldwide companies who had their offices here. So not only people moved here, but company moved here. Either it's a branch and office of a foreign company, either people work abroad. That's two things. And there are several examples of different things, like they have OLX. OLX is close to Russian Avita, to be honest. It's about the same as Russian Avita. They have office here. They have a lot of IT people here, and that's one of the rare local company. Well, OLX Unbubble is a pretty huge company who work in translation technology also, but salaries here are much lower than in other part of Europe. I think that the average, not in IT, but the average salary in Portugal is a little above 1,000 euro, so 120, 130, and that's the cost of apartment in Lisbon per month. So again.
What is once again, I'm sorry, the average cost of an apartment, of renting an apartment?
That depends on the area. Apartment in Lisbon started from 1,000 euro to I think 150, 160, and it doesn't really. It does have big depends on the number of rooms, and the cost mostly depends on the area. Another thing is usually most of the apartments here are rented without any furniture internally. So when people leave the apartment, they took all the furniture with them, even air conditioning. So people move here, they also take their air conditioning with them. There are several areas which little cheaper and several areas which little more expensive. They have this suburb region of Cascais, which is pretty famous, and prices about triple higher than in Lisbon there. Between Cascais and Lisbon, prices about 30% lower. It's and also Lisbon are on the on the right part of the river, right embankment. Get the word, doesn't matter. So there is pretty big river here called Tejo. In Spain, the river called Tajo. It's Tejo, and Lisbon on the one side of the river, and on the other side of the river, a lot of suburb regions with place twice lower, with prices twice lower than in Lisbon.
For example, yeah, go ahead.
Well, that depends whether you want to. Well, for me, I definitely wanted to start with the center and then decide. Again, to be honest, the far areas from Lisbon center I like the most. And Lisbon, center of the Lisbon is not the place where I want to live.
Why not?
Too crowded, too much people, too dirty. And if you saw all these pictures of Lisbon in Instagram, I think you might have. There are two types of videos. First is helicopter view. From the helicopter view, this town is like awesome. Another type is when pictures changes really fast and you cannot stick with the details. But to be honest, tourist center of Lisbon is pretty old, pretty dirty. If you live here, there's a lot of things like cockroaches, rats, and all other things, and trash right on the street. So and crowded of people yelling to the morning. So no.
No.
It's nice
Okay.
to drink there. If you have
Yeah.
your day off, it's nice to drink there, but it's not the place you wanted to wake up every morning.
Yeah, and especially to live with your family and with your kids. Yeah, because previously we had a webinar with a girl who is now working in Berlin, and she said exactly the same things about trash, about like it's dirty, it's noisy, and but the difference is that if you come to Germany, you can't work remotely from any other country. If you applied for a job in Germany, you have to live in Germany. Yeah, and I see that it's completely different when we speak about Portugal. Yeah, that's great. That's great. That's a great opportunity. And we have, yeah.
But Lisbon is so small that from my quiet area to this loudless center, 20-minute walk. I don't even take taxi if I want to have dinner in a center and if I want to be the part of the crowd. I just walk 20 minutes and here is the old center. And here,
it doesn't look like that when you look at it in the maps.
It's small.
It's small, really. Yeah. Yeah, because Russian people are familiar to long distances, to huge spaces. Yeah, like 8-day trip in train is nothing for us, and it's completely impossible for any European person. Okay, and we have, thank you, and we have a question from Timothy about discrimination. Yeah, that's a hot issue today. So how serious is discrimination against Russian citizenship now when working in IT in Portugal and in Europe as a whole? And last time when we discussed relocation to Germany, there was a point because the speaker said that the attitude of people in Germany to Russians who left Russia is good, but for the Russians who stayed in Russia is not that good. So what maybe Timofey, that's what Timofey means about discrimination against Russian citizenship, or maybe attitude to Russian people in general.
I live here. I moved here before the war, and now I'm here, and I didn't see any discrimination of a person here, but there is really big discrimination of Russian passport. So, for example, right now you cannot open a bank account with Russian passport here, again, without the residency. When I appear in the bank and I say, I want to have a bank account in your bank, they say, okay, which document do you have? I say, I have Russian passport. They say, sorry to say that, but you cannot. If you have, if I appeared again, that's again me, and I show my residence and I say, okay, I want to open bank account, and they say, which document do you have? I said, local residency. They say welcome. So the trickiest part for those who apply in the peer right now is to open a bank account. So there is only one bank who still open bank accounts for those who apply with Russian passport. Another thing that all this in well, Portugal is a farthest away country from Russian Europe. So here it's still a little too far away. And to be honest, I hear well, when the war started, I hear another thing from locals that yes, we do not support the war and we are for Ukraine, but if you want to rent an apartment, if you are Russian, you can do it. And if you want to rent an apartment and you are Ukrainian, nobody tells you then you cannot do it because you are Ukrainian. But people here decided that if you are Russian, you have to pay, and you will pay for your apartment. But there were some locals who didn't who stopped renting apartment to Ukrainians because they were afraid that Ukrainians can get this protection status and will not pay for their apartments. So that was pretty strange thing. There was absolutely opposite. Okay, you're Russian, nice, please spend your money here, please rent our apartment. You know that you will not, well, now you have even more reasons to stay here. That means you have even more reasons to pay for the apartment. Yep, and people here, for those again who moves here and who lived here, people here is nice. And again, I feel that I was even warmer when they see that some things happen there, and when I said that my family is still there and I tried to extract them, they were really, really, really supportive. Really supportive. So issues with Russian passports, yes, a lot on every step. You cannot get loan, you cannot get a lot of things. Asian is a lot of issues with Russian nationality now. I didn't hear.
But if you apply for a residence, you anyway have to show your passport, isn't it?
Well, residency, yes, no. For residency, it's still available. They stopped this program they also had this golden visas. When you buy property here, expensive enough, and that considers as you add money to local economy and you can get your residency. That was the only program which were blocked, but all the others like highly qualified, like what else? Well, all other visas, they were all other programs. They still work, and I see no issues with it. So yeah, it still works. Yes, it's hard because the hardest thing is you cannot. Well, bank account is still the hardest thing, but all other thing works.
Okay, thank you. And what about your company? How many employees do you have in your company?
Close to 100 all around the world.
And all around the world. So it's
All
not
around
that
the world.
all of them are relocated to Portugal with
No, even more. Even if we try to relocate people to Portugal, since you have to move much faster, we finally changed the plan, and most of my team, I have 3 units in the company. Most of my team works in Serbia.
you.
Few people works from Turkey, from Romania, and I think that is all. So when we saw that we have to move much faster, we switched from Portugal to Serbia.
So anyway, they are in Europe, yeah, more or less close to you, not in Australia or somewhere. Okay.
Yep.
And What about cultural differences? Probably it was not the first country that you personally visited in your life, but spending some years and months, spending some months, yeah, in Portugal. What can you say about the cultural differences, maybe, or maybe in approach that you see at work, contacting with your colleagues?
Overall, like a general thing, people here are happy, and when people are happy, they behave much nicer, and everything here is about personal touch. Like in, for example, if you apply, if you at the bank, even if they cannot help you, they will do they will show that they really want to do it. And another thing, if people here when they work with someone, they are fully dedicated. Like you might sit in a line for hours because the person who they already served, they already served, require more attention than they expected. So, but when it will be your time, and when they will spend all their times with you, like all the time you need, and they will walk you through all the process. And so people here, first, really nice. Second, do not hurry up. They do not have this type of siesta like in Spain. But when you apply for the process and they say, okay, let me check, I have an open slot in the next in 9 months. 9 months? I say, yes, 9 months. It's okay. Why do you complain? You can just live and be happy for 9 months. Why do you need to move it faster? So sometimes it really bother someone, like when you apply for any repair at home and they say, okay, we're gonna be at your home tomorrow, and then tomorrow say, no, 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 not today, maybe next week, or maybe never. This thing happens really, and it really well, for those who think, well, imagine Germany. This country is absolutely the opposite. Absolutely. So, do they have rules? They do. Do all the rules work? No.
No. Okay,
No.
yeah. I think it's closer to Spain. Yeah. So you're
Yes,
describing it, I
heard.
think it's close to Spain.
But in Spain and in Italy, I heard that they do not really like foreigners. Here's foreigners are welcome. And when you try speaking French, if you do not do it well, most likely you will not be treated well by French people. Same in Italian. But here, when you know how to say thank you or hello in Portuguese, you are more than welcome to use it. And they really like when you try, they help you, they educate you. And yeah, so again, people here, I think they're happy and why they do their work well without any complaints. Again, my favorite example is this cashier at the shop. Two things about them. They speak English. I cannot imagine that I appeared at a show in Moscow and somebody speaks English. First, they speak English. Second, they smiling.
Yeah.
You just talk to cashier and when they charge go boy, they smile and they have little chat with you, and nobody in the line cares that they spend too much time chatting with you because it's how things go here.
Yeah.
I think we have
Okay.
more questions.
Yeah, we
More
have
questions.
another question, a very interesting one about using social services like ambulance, hospitals, kindergarten,
Yeah,
so on.
really nice topic. First, I'm happy not to be aware of how ambulance work here, but with hospitals. They have two type of hospital services. Again, free of charge. You have to have your special number. It's called numero de utente, number of the patient. You can apply for it technically even before the residency if you live here, but you have to have a lot of papers. So for me, it was easier to have it after when I get my residency. And this numero de utente, it also covers up to 90% of all the medicine if I buy something in a drugstore with prescription. The social number also covers up to 90% of the cost of the medication. But in and again with this number you can apply for free to public hospitals. That is a good part. Bad part, you have to wait for months for your application. When you want to have your free treatment and really nice girl tell you, okay, I find you a spot in 12 months. That is daily situation here. Another thing is medical insurance. With medical insurance, you can use several private hospitals. They're really well. And to be honest, a lot of my, some of my colleagues from other countries, like from Britain, they prefer to do the like everything with their teeth here in Portugal, because the quality here is pretty good. Cost is much lower than in other part of Europe. And the thing is, this classical way of insurance here is when you still pay something, but it's not, prices are not really high. To be, well, to compare, when I asked, well, I followed the bike before I had this, before I had local insurance, and I asked how much would it be cost to apply to private hospital for checking me. They say, well, from 300 to 400 euros. And with insurance, you pay from 7 to 15 euros per exam. So you still pay something, but again, I was applied to doctor only twice. First time I paid 7 euros, second time I paid 15. It's really, all other things were covered by insurance. Cost of insurance, again, they have their grades, but the average is about 50 euro months per adult. Half of it per kid, and I think that's all. So that's for hospitals. In hospital, it's really great to know Portuguese, because even the doctor says speaks English when you want to apply. The reception, people might not. Kindergarten and so on. Another thing, you may apply for your place in kindergarten and school without being a resident. So if once you here officially with Schengen visa, you may have your place for free for your kid in kindergarten and in school. But it works only for really young kids, for babies who will learn Portuguese like inside the kindergarten, and also works for those who apply for the first grade, because all the free education here is in Portuguese again. Other side is there are a lot of foreign schools, official schools, which have their education here in English. They are really expensive, really expensive. Well, again, I compare to what I have back in Moscow. If you want a kid to study, to study here in English, that would be cost, again, depends on the class, up to 25,000 euro per year. So more than 2,000 euro per month per kid. But
It's
they say
expensive, yeah.
that's pretty expensive. So you have two options: either to send them to free local school, and since there are pretty big foreign communities, there are also official schools in other languages in French. If your kids speak French, there are pretty good French-speaking school here, which was recommended to me. And when I choose the school for my kids, one guy told me they didn't speak any language, neither Portuguese, neither French, and it's a pretty good French school. Why don't you apply here? Let them learn French. I said, no, English and French and Portuguese is too much for the kids. So I still didn't move my kids to the local school. They still study remotely in Russian school. The only issue right now is that of time zones. So I have to woke them up really early. But next year, I hope they will learn Portuguese enough to start studying.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I wanted also to ask a question about those people who relocate with kids, but I think you have already covered that issue as well. So I think we have 5 minutes. Maybe we can ask you some more questions. One question, I think we have time for it. And what is approximately living cost per month, for example, for a family with 2 adults and 1 kid? Yeah,
Again,
average digits.
well, that really depends. Again, as I say, you may apply for public Portuguese school, you might apply for private English school. You might live in Lisbon, you might live on the other side of the river. Even if the prices here are, I think, close to what we had back in Moscow. The other thing is you have to pay for some things you didn't have to pay back there just because you are not get used to them. Like, well, tax advisor I didn't have back then in Moscow. You have to well have your legal advisor because of all the processes. Well, for the living, I think 1,500 euros is enough for food here. Well, we spoke about cost of apartment. What else? You do not have to buy warm clothes here. That helps a little.
Or winter tires for the car.
Oh, winter tires for the cars, yes. By the way, cars are really expensive here.
Oh, really?
They have their special taxes, so you have to pay up to 40% higher than in other Europe for the cars. Cars here are really expensive.
But it's a small country. That's good.
Yeah, but it's a small country.
Yeah.
Well, again, that depends on the quality of living you used to have. I think starting from 400 euros, you can do it here. You have to still do a lot of things manually. You would not allow to hire people to do it for you, and you will be prevented from traveling all over the world. But that will be enough to live here. And as the thing I can recommend, there is very nice trackers on the options on the site called Migrant Tech, migrun.tech, and there are a lot of. Is it allowed here to share the link right into the chat?
Yes, you can, and I can copy it into our Telegram chat.
Yes, that's what I can recommend you. And there are trackers. Well, they provide services if you want it as a service, but they also have all the instructions if you want to do it by yourself. And a lot of information I can recommend. I can definitely recommend. I never worked with them as so they didn't provide me any services, but the articles is the one I really can recommend. It's really, I think, the closest one to those which I really saw here, and one of the most useful for me. Well, that's how it works.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. And I think you've covered all the questions. Thank you again. And thanks to you, Portugal looks like a really great place to visit or to relocate.